brothers and sisters. I want to talk today about the pearl of great price. In the scriptures, we see that the Lord speaks this parable of someone finding a great treasure in a field, finds it, goes off, sells everything he has to come and buy this field and to get this treasure. And, it's discovering the love of God, really entering that relationship with God is the most precious treasure. And in many ways, the heart of the spiritual life, the heart of the spiritual combat is to stay in that place where we are deeply convinced and we know that the one thing that will make me supremely happy is freely given. I can't buy it. I can't sell anything to buy it. I can't do anything to win it and to earn it. It's freely given. And I suppose when we discover in our spiritual lives that God himself, his grace and his love is enough, that's when everything else takes off. That's when we become free. That's when we live as true sons and daughters of God. And whether we live in a shack or we live in a big mansion or whatever it is, or whether we have lots of titles and jobs, and we could have all those things and be terribly miserable if we don't have this one conviction, this one encounter with the living love of Jesus Christ, of God showing us his face in the incredible love of Christ. And if Christ is not enough for us, then something is missing in our spiritual lives. And we have to be really honest and sober with ourselves. And this goes for everybody. I mean, you could be a Christian who's 70, 80 years old. You could be a priest or religious in religious life for a long time and haven't really allowed this truth, allow this encounter to take place. Maybe because of our pride, that we put up so many barriers against God, maybe our sinfulness, but even our pride and our sinfulness doesn't stop the unconditional love of God. And this is the great treasure that when we know it, when we encounter it, when we experience it, we're willing to sell everything to hold on to cleave, as St. Paul says in one of his letters, cleave to God to be with him one spirit. It's a cleaving of the heart towards God, a clamoring of the heart when we really know that love. And in fact, every human being is really looking for this love. And that's why there's so much. Pope Francis has said this in a beautiful Wednesday audience that he gave in 2017 that we'll have a little bit look at now. But he talks about when the heart is not loved, it can easily become a heart full of violence. A heart that doesn't have peace is aggressive, that creates a lot of turmoil in the home or in the workplace or wherever we are. If the heart doesn't know that it is loved. And this is really the drama of our modern humanity, that we're cut off more and more because of our technology, our social media. We're so distracted. We're so brought in a million different directions that we are unable to sit in that one place of silence and to muse in our hearts and enjoy the fact that I am loved by God and that God is infinite, and that, to know that deep in our heart. But of course, many of us have many wounds that God needs to clean up first and deliver us from, so that our hearts could really come to feel and come to know this personal love of God. And that's where, I guess, the sufferings of life, the trials, the different things that the Lord sends our way, so that we could be totally humbled and that we would not mix up the creation for the Creator, and that we would get on our knees, learn how to be on our knees and to find him. And so I want to come back to this theme about, the unconditional love of God. Pope Francis says that, our modern culture is basically full of so much anguish or this need to try to present ourselves as attractive, and it's all about face and about what we are in the social scene, and building up all these profiles and masks of ourselves so that we could appear and seem important, and this is based on a fundamental lie that I have to. He says that one has to earn love. See, love is freely given. We shouldn't make people feel they have to earn our love. That's not the command of Christ. He said for us to go and love regardless whether they like us or not. And this is based on the fact that God's love is unconditional. He sends his love to us whether we like it or not. That he's like the sun that shines on the good and bad alike. His love is unconditional. And we'll talk more about this tomorrow, his unconditional love.